Hi guys, welcome. It's Talking Kaizer Chiefs and it's Toit with Tsepo, Masilela and Farouk Khan. Both of you guys, Tsepo, you're an ex-Kaizer Chiefs player. You're a die-hard Kaizer Chiefs fan. Farouk, you spent years on the bench winning trophies with Kaizer Chiefs, and I know the club's got a big place in your heart. Richards Bay, 2, Kaizer Chiefs, 0. My heart, I'm a neutral, but obviously I'm a fan. I'm talking to Kaizer Chiefs fans here, and my heart's with the Kaizer Chiefs fans in this particular show. Clearly, my heart goes out to these Kaizer Chiefs fans. They love the team. They expect, and with all due respect to the coach, the management, and the players, they deserve better than this. They really deserve better. Wednesday night, now Saturday. Farouk, do you see any improvement, by the way, from Wednesday night? And what went wrong in this game? And Sepp, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Well, I'll tell you, when the game started, Kaizer Chiefs were in complete control of the game. They kept the ball well. They used the ball effectively. They changed the point of attack at times. But with all that possession and an excellent build-up, they lacked a bit of the cutting edge. And that is ensuring that they turned that possession into shots on target. It took 21 minutes for them to get a shot on target. It was a cross from the right-hand side, and Dupree headed it toward the keeper. I think it was a very decent attempt. But other than that, they never seemed to really worry Magula. And for me, there was a concern because possession, obviously, Peter, is with a purpose. You don't have possession just for the sake of having possession. You have possession to ensure that you look to penetrate, you look to create scoring opportunities. And yes, they had a game plan. I must say they had a game plan. But, you know, as you say, when you don't ensure that you create those chances, you get made to pay. And maybe we'll touch that a little bit later, how that came about in the second half.
Tsepo, seriously though, we keep harping back to this. Is it the players? Is it the coach? Is it a combination? And is this process, I don't see this process getting better. Is it a case of let this season just go and hopefully make the top 8 and some miracle you're going to sign a whole lot of new players in the next transfer window and suddenly this team's going to transform? I don't see how this team's going to suddenly transform. I see a dip in form of everybody, and I want to come back to Farouk on this a little bit later. Is this a happy squad? Because, you know, happy players play better. This concerns me. If I was a Chiefs fan, I would be a little bit exasperated, and I want to know, where am I going to point fingers? Management, coach, players.
I think, in my opinion, Peter, it's a combination of both. You know, the players and the coaches. When we look at this Chiefs team compared to the team that, you know, started the first 4 games of the season, and as players again, because of, I don't know, the coach keeps on changing his team. You know, every game we see more or less a different lineup. You know, so I think maybe the players also psychologically, I'm not sure. Maybe they feeling that, you know, that they don't know their position, like in the team, you know, and where they stand with the coach. And again, they've played 2 games now without scoring. You know, it also shows that, you know, the cutting edge that Coach Farouk is talking about, it's also a concern also, you know. And up front, as much as when you look at them, they do build up nicely, go to the middle, you know, but in the final third, that's where you feel like they're lacking big time. You know, you don't know where the goal is going to come from, and, you know, that's my only concern with them. You know, they don't look like scoring.
Well, if you don't look like scoring, you don't look like winning. Guys, for Kaizer Chiefs fans out there, I've got a surprise for you. One thing is certain: if you go on the Betway app and you
Just to add to what
use the SoccerBeat code, you'll get 25 Rand extra money to bet with. That's for certain. I'm not sure you'll get certainty at Chiefs at the moment. But Farouk, I want to ask you a question. This team, you've sat on a bench at Kaizer Chiefs. Happy players equals good performance. You look at body language here. You'll know this better than anybody. Our viewers out there, the Chiefs fans out there, for them, what does the body language look like? What does the play look like? Does this look like a confident team? And is that confidence due to lack of results? Or, happiness is a big part of confidence. What is it? And I'm not trying to blame the coach or anything. I'm just saying, what does this look like to you?
Well, when results are not forthcoming, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of anxiety amongst players and coaching staff, and that is normal. But I think to some extent, if you look at the player's body language, I mean, if you find a player like Sereno, he should be a starter in my opinion. And if you look at him coming off the bench, the way he had, and it's not like the Sereno we know of old. When we saw Sereno when he started the season, he was the man that was the go-to factor. He was a guy that every team dreaded playing against because he was that type of player that could unlock their defense. Today, he didn't look like he had a key. And for me, that's a concern because, again, they're not finding a solution to unblock or unpark that bus or, remove that low block. And when you're going to play a game against a team that are fighting for their lives, like Richards Bay, they're going to park the bus. I mean, I had a chat with Michelle and he said, what do you expect? I mean, we're playing against a very good team in Kaizer Chiefs. We've got to sit with the low block and look to play on the counter, which is brilliant tactical acumen when it comes to coaching. So, I mean, Richards Bay did their job in ensuring that they stopped Chiefs. But what did Chiefs do to ensure that they at least got on the score sheet?
Yeah. Again, Farouk, these are things these are observations we're making. And it's our job to make observations and make analysis. But what are the solutions? What are the solutions? What is Nabi, when he sits down with Kaizer Motaung and Kaizer Jr. and Bobby Motaung, and I'm going to ask you first, Tsepo, what does he say? One of our viewers said, should Kaizer find the players? But before you answer that question, guys, please, not all of you are subscribed. We really need and appreciate if all of you guys subscribe to SoccerBeat. The more you subscribe, the more shows we can bring, the more our sponsors are happy, and the more we can get guests like Tsepo and Farouk. So please hit that subscribe button and it notifies you as well. So my question, in the dressing room, I'm going to ask from a coach's point of view and I'm going to ask from a player's point of view. Before I come to the solutions, does a club owner find players in this situation? Does that work? Does that work?
I don't think it really works, Peter. I think at Al Ahly, they normally find them. That's when they lose against, especially against Zamalek, if I'm not mistaken, when they playing against their biggest, rivals. So they know it's normally done there, but it comes. It's not something that you just wake up and start, today. I think at Al Ahly, they do know it's part of, their culture. They don't want to lose against Al Ahly, because are you going to find them, let's say they lose the next 3 games, Peter, are you going to find them come month end, they don't have money, so I don't think it works in my opinion.
So before I come to ask Farouk the same question, what's the solution? If you're sitting down there and Kaizer Motaung phoned you and he said, sit with Bobby and myself and Kaizer Jr. and give us the solution. Looking at the last 2 games, the Cape Town City game and the Richards Bay game today, what would be your solution? Is there a clear solution?
For now, because we almost, at the end of the season, definitely, once the season is over, that's when we'll sit back, and get reports and look at everything, reflect on the past season and make decisions. It's 2 ways, Peter. You can wait till the end of the season and make decisions whether you feel like the coach is not taking you to the next step as a team and you don't see that happening. So it means you have to part ways, or you feel like the coach is the right guy, but you're lacking more players or more quality. You go to the market and and also it's a discussion that has to happen with the coach also. Maybe the coach also is run out of gas, and ideas. And come end of the season, he wants to. So I think for now they just have to let it go till end of the season, and that's when decision has to be made. But again, you'll have to sit and look back. Where are we as a team? Where did we finish as a team? More or less our targets. Did you reach them? And then that's where you make final decisions.
Your solution to Kaizer, the Motaung family, is wait till the end of the season. Farouk, first question from, as I said, it was from one of our viewers, Lele, and he said, is it possible and does it work if Kaizer find players? I can tell you before you even answer, in the day I was playing, we were fined regularly. You've got your bonus, but you got fined as well. And you couldn't say a word. There was no players' union. There was no lawyers. Bang. But that's in the old days. Farouk, does finding players work? And secondly, what would be your solution right now to Kaizer and to Bobby and to Kaizer Jr. Besides telling you to get on the bench?
Well, I'll tell you this much. I don't think finding players is going to work in the long term, because when you start using punitive action like that, the players feel that you're passing the buck. If you're finding them, then obviously everybody has to be fined, including your technical team, because we win together, we lose together. So I would say that if you look at a solution, the solution is look at your current squad and be very candid, be very honest to yourself and say which are the players that are Kaizer Chiefs players, firstly, because Kaizer Chiefs have a philosophy. Somebody would say, what do you mean, what's a Kaizer Chiefs player? Kaizer Chiefs is a team that plays expensive, offensive football. They play winning football. They used to, okay, in the last couple of years, you could argue with me, and that's not the case. But I think if you know, you played against Chiefs in the past, you know, they're a team that when you went on the field, you looked at them and you said, this team is going to give us a run for our money. That's not the case anymore. So I would say, look at the players, because none of those players, I'm saying it again, Peter, are underperforming intentionally. Due to the fact that you find certain players have certain limitations. You've got to find the right players in the right positions to ensure that the solutions come about due to the fact that there's balance, due to the fact that you have a proper number 9, because we saw today, they put a lot of crosses in. Some of those crosses were aimless. Some of those crosses were right down the throat of Richards Bay, who cleared it. But, you know, in saying that, Richards Bay was a team ready for the taking, Peter. They were poor defensively. They gave a lot of balls away in turnover. They defended poorly on set pieces. Yes, when you cross balls the way Chiefs did, it basically becomes very easy because they're crossing the ball towards the defense. But in saying that, Chiefs didn't take advantage of it. On the flip side, Richards Bay took advantage of a set piece that was unnecessary, I feel. Tsepo had no reason to make a foul at that moment. It was an unforced error that was made in an area where you can get hurt. And if you look at the numbers in the box, you had 4 Kaizer Chiefs defenders against 1 player that scored. So that is poor defending, to say the least. And then, suddenly now, they found themselves on a back foot and they were chasing the game. And if you can recall, Richards Bay had not 1, not 2, I'm sure about 10 counter-attacks, but just didn't have the quality to finish. Had they had the quality to finish, we would be talking a different scoreline, because Chiefs threw everything at them and they were exposed at the back. And the score should have been at least a 3 or 4 more. So in saying that, you can't afford to lose to a team like Richards Bay, with all due respect. They are not on the same level, or should not be on the same level as Chiefs. Chiefs' quality is far better than theirs. Therefore, the result should have been Chiefs winning this match.
Correct. We're going to take a short break from our
I don't
sponsors.
know, Peter.
Sorry, Tsepo, yes. You want to say something?
No, I'll ask the question after. I'll ask the question after the break. I've got a question for Coach Farouk.
Okay.
Let's go to
Give us
a break.
2 seconds. A word from our sponsors.
How would you like to win a little something extra just for joining the best in the game? For a limited time, we are teaming up with Betway and giving all of you access to a SoccerBeat exclusive. If you join Betway using the sign-up code SoccerBeat, now in March, you get 25 Rand extra bet. That's right. It's time to get way more out of every bet. Standard T's and C's apply.
Welcome back, guys. And don't forget, go on the Betway Beat app and press the SoccerBeat code and you get yourselves 25 Rand extra. Yes, Tsepo, your question to Coach Farouk.
Oh, no, it's just one question. I don't know. Coach Farouk, we saw today the midfield pairing of Tsepo and Toit. I don't know, what did you make of that, of Tsepo playing more as an 8, especially in the first half, and Toit sitting? I don't know, what did you make of that midfield pairing?
Well, I think the coach felt that he needed somebody in the midfield to bite a bit more. I think if you look at Taylor, yes, he's brilliant on the ball, but in one-on-one situations, he's not always winning those battles. So I think that was the thinking. However, I think if you look at it again, why not have a Sereno, which will then allow a Taylor to be able to go forward much more. That could have been the right balance. No, nothing wrong with Shaba, but I think Shaba is more of an offensive player that can be utilized if and when you want to play him possibly as a 9 or a false 9. Dupree, for me, still is a wide attacker because of his pace. Now Chiefs find themselves with a lot of speed. They didn't play as many diagonal balls, Tsepo, today. They didn't play as many long balls. And the reason is, you're playing against a team that's sitting back. Long balls wouldn't make sense. So it's not like they didn't want to play. It's just that they weren't allowed to. So if you look at the number of counter-attacks Chiefs had, very few. Because of the mere fact that Richards Bay was sitting back. So now what's your next best bet? Keep possession. Ensure that you use the width better. Ensure that you get more numbers into the box. At any given time, whenever Solomon's or any of the other guys went wide, there was hardly anybody in the box besides Dupree. For me, that is just not on. Because you've got 4 or 5 Richards Bay players sitting in the box and you just had Dupree. Obviously, he's going to be outnumbered. Obviously, they have 5 more chances of winning the ball compared to Kaizer Chiefs. So I just think that was something that may have been, changed. Maybe the coach could have bring Chivaviro in. I promise you. I mean, he wasn't on the bench, but I'm saying that's the type of player you can just bring in just to make things awkward for Richards Bay.
Do you know, my solution, I asked you guys for the solution, but if I was sitting with Kaizer Jr. and Kaizer Senior and Bobby, to me it's very simple. There are 2 ways to look at this. And assuming the coach is the right coach and you're going to keep him for next season, they've got to sign not 1, but 2 top quality strikers. And the reason why I say they need to sign 2 top quality strikers, because Ranger's not good enough. Even if he's good enough, he's not good enough for Chiefs because his confidence at Chiefs is gone. He could be fantastic at training. The minute he comes on the pitch, he knows the fans are against him. He knows the minute he makes a mispass or miscontrols the ball, they're all going to want him off. So they've got to cut their losses, and he's got to cut his losses as well. He's 34 or something like that. He's got to go, and he'll do well at another club, funny enough, I think. Because I agree with Farouk, he's a decent player. They've got to sign 2 top-class strikers. The reason being is Dupree's not a striker, he's a wide player. And they may have to let him go because they don't play with a wide player who's cutting in. Nabi wants to play with 2 out-and-out wingers, and Dupree's not an out-and-out winger. He doesn't get the ball to feet, per se, and dribble past players and crosses in. He latches onto long balls. But that's a separate issue. The reason why he's got to get 2 top strikers who can score goals is because one of them will get injured, or one of them will be slightly off form, or one of them will need a rest. And Morris is not a straightforward number 9. His entire career, he played as a midfielder at Ajax Cape Town. I'm from Cape Town. I watch all the games. That was his prime position. He went and played up front when necessary and does well, but he's not an instinctive goal scorer. If you look at his goals scored over his entire career, he's got a midfielder's amount of goals, not a striker's amount of goals. He would be there as a third-choice striker when necessary, but Morris is a top player to have on your bench, and you'll end up playing 15, 20 games a season, and that's right for his age, because he'll play wide right. He can play wide right in midfield. He can play attacking as an 8 or a 10. He can play as a holding midfielder. So he's a fantastic player to have in your squad because top professional, hard-working, and he'll do the job whatever position he plays, and he could probably even play centre-back, quite frankly. But they need to sign 2 top strikers because Farouk and Tsepo, as you know, if you take that half chance, that Dupree header, which, by the way, if he was an instinctive striker, he wouldn't have been standing in the 6-yard box and that he had to move back 2 yards to get in that header, and that's why it wasn't powerful. An instinctive striker knows you stay out until you know when that cross is coming in, and then you see by your winger's movement where that cross is coming in, and then you're in, and that's obviously harder for you to be marked. And second, you're attacking the ball as opposed to waiting for the ball and having to readjust. So when you've got that top striker, those 2 top strikers, you can either play them 2 together or alternate them, but they've got an instinct for goal and they want to keep themselves in the team, so they want to keep scoring. And even if you're not a good side, if you've got 2 strikers giving you 10, 12 goals for that season, you will challenge for a top 4 position. And that means even if your rest of the side is not that good, at least, Farouk, as you know, you can structure your team around getting those 1 or 2 goals per game. But for them to go into the next season without 2 top quality strikers, we're going to have the same problem, except they'll be better at keeping ball, they'll be better at keeping shape, and they'll be better at penetrating, but they still won't score goals, and they'll come 7-8. So that's my big solution. I'm not saying you've got to agree with me or not, but I think that's the massive solution. But then I've got another last question I want to ask both of you. and this is the killer question. I know Tsepo is going to say keep the coach, and I know you're going to say you're going to be maybe on the fence there a little bit. So, and I'm not going to ask you that question. What I'm going to ask both of you is this. Would another coach with the same team, if you had a coach in New South African football with the same team, would they do a better job with these players? Because if they wouldn't do a better job, by the way, that means this team needs complete overhaul. So would somebody who knows this football better do a better job? And if not, then doesn't this team need a big overhaul and not just two strikers? And that I'm wrong. So, Farouk, you first. I know it's a hard question.
I tell you quickly, the idea you had about a striker is important because of the type of service that we saw today. I think a big boy in the box could make a huge, huge difference first. So yes, I agree with you totally. What I want to say is that, Peter, even if you find another coach who can do better, a local guy, somebody who has the understanding of Chiefs culture, that could be a solution. However, that is the solution Chiefs have been looking for the last 10 years. I mean, if you look at the number of coaches they brought in, including Gavin Hunt, including Ataswani. I mean, there's so many coaches that have come in, and the same thing happens time and time again. So I think sometimes we're going to look beyond the coach per se. We're going to look at, there's some underlying factors that we're going to look at. Firstly, that is, you need a technical genius who knows how to sign players. Somebody that will look at a player and understand if that player can fit into the philosophy, into the style, into the game model, firstly. Now, once you find that person, then the job of the coach becomes much easier because now he doesn't have to change players as often as we've seen currently the current coach doing. Whether he's doing it because he's trying to make a point with players that are underperforming, or whether he's doing it because players are injured, or whether he's doing it because he's still trying to find the right balance. Only he knows and God knows. For me personally, I think you've got to go beyond the coach and make sure that you get a technical brain, not the coach. The coach, whoever the coach is only as good as the people behind him, his backroom staff. I'm not talking about the current crop of Tunisian guys here. I'm talking about a team of Kaizer Chiefs caliber should have brains, technical brains, that can ensure
like a Henning Berg, like a Henning Berg. I'm not saying a Henning Berg is great, but a Henning Berg type guy at Sundowns at the top who's buying players for next year, and they keep buying new players to keep the team oiled.
I think a technical brain that understands South African football, no disrespect for Henning Berg. I think if Henning Berg was at another club, he'd probably be back in Sweden or wherever he's from. You need to have somebody who understands the culture of players. You need somebody who can understand the psyche of South African players. So you need a South African technician who's got in-depth knowledge of the game and experience. I think that will solve the problems that they find themselves in.
So there you go, Kaizer Chiefs fans and probably Kaizer Chiefs management, and I tend to agree with Farouk. You can't have, if the family are buying the players in conjunction with the coach, there's, with all due respect, there's that you need an outsider, I think, who's coming in, who understands and reporting to you, because it's very difficult for a family to say, well, you bought this player badly, you made that mistake, we did it on conjunction. I think what Chiefs haven't had is a technical director, and they need a technical director. I would agree with you, Farouk. I think that is possibly the solution, because any coach can come in then and they've got a ready-made squad over the years. And certainly what's been happening in the last few years, the way they've been recruiting players has been poor. That's what's found the team in this situation, and probably also recruiting of coaches. So maybe it actually does sit on management's head. Tsepo, do you agree with Farouk, or do you have a different answer? Farouk definitely doesn't want Henning Berg.
No, Peter, to an extent, I agree with Coach Farouk, because if you look at the number of coaches, they've changed. I think even Coach Stewart came back at some point. The very same coach that was successful, in his first stint at Kaizer Chiefs, he came back the second time, and it didn't last long. So it shows you that there's definitely underlying issues at Kaizer Chiefs, and the sooner they get everything right, winning is not only the players on the field, Peter. There's a lot of, behind the scene work that's been done. Teams have scouting department, guys that, scout players. They follow players like week in, week out. They bring reports, There's data analysis, guys. There's a whole lot, to get the whole machine moving in the right direction. So, I don't know, man. Technical director, scouting department, all those things, once everything is right and gelling, you'll see the result.
So I think this is an interesting point you both made. If I asked you this question, I just want to know out of 10, I think I know the answer. If you looked at Chiefs from a professional point of view, the buses, the accommodation, the way the players are treated, the training facilities, the kit, I would imagine from a professionalism point of view and the whole outlook of that club, I'm not talking about actually on the playing field, I'm talking about everything else but the playing field. The club looks like it's a 9 out of 10 club off the field. Tsepo, you played there as a player. Are you treated like a top pro? Is it a 9 out of 10 in organization, 90%, 100%? Is it a top? It looks like to me a top club from that basis. Would you agree, or is it?
No, I agree, Peter. Definitely a 9 out of 10. You don't get any problems, salary problems, blah blah blah. Everything you get in time,
Off the field, it looks like a well-run machine to me from what I see. I'm not there. Farouk, you've coached there. You've seen, you've been even as a pundit. Is it a 9 out of 10 or is it a 7 out of 10? It certainly looks like an up there with one of the best in the country, if not the best in professional, up there with Chiefs and Pirates, I would imagine. Chiefs and Sundowns and Pirates.
Peter, it's an 11 out of 10. That team is run like clockwork. That is a world-class facility, and it's run by a very ethical director. Not maybe he's retired now, but Kaizer is a man of ethics. I think there's nobody that can complain about working relationships or anything else. They have the best marketing team, or headed by Jessica, I think in Africa or even comparable to the world. That is what makes it so sad. When you have this fantastic support structure and the results are not forthcoming, because it's the results that make the team what it is. You could have the best like they have, but the team has to perform on the field of play, because that's the ultimate objective of any successful team. We've seen now with Man United, a world-class outfit, they're not getting results and people are unhappy. So the brand has kept them going. And similarly with Kaizer Chiefs, it's the brand that has kept them going. And people are so passionate about this brand, Peter. So I will give it even a 12 or 13 out of 10. I tell you, it was really an honor working for this institution. Really, top class.
Well, fans out there, Kaizer Chiefs fans out there, we got it. The behind the scenes at Kaizer Chiefs, we're not talking about the playing field. Everything that goes around the administration, the running of the club, the Motaung family, which is really the people behind the club, deserve a 10 out of 10 for getting that club looking and behaving and acting in a totally professional manner. And as an outsider looking in how I see the team looks and how things are running, you don't hear about players complaining and so on and so forth. It seems like that to me as well. So 10 out of 10 there to the club, to the owners, the Motaung family, and everybody involved. The only thing that he needs to get right is on the pitch. And the solution from an ex-player and an ex-coach who have obviously great feelings towards the club, and I agree with them, it looks like you need to get an outsider in there to certainly help that scouting department and to give kind of continuity, even if you change coaches, that philosophy is still there and the kind of players you sign are still there. And that was there during the days when Kaizer was completely involved, because we saw the kind of players, and I can tell you the history of the club because I was from the 70s and so on. That seems to have gone, and they've fallen behind certainly Sundowns and Pirates at the moment. But that needs to come back. So, guys, Kaizer Chiefs fans, there is hope. Hopefully the club's listening. Thanks very much. Please, guys, don't forget to subscribe. We need your subscriptions, please. It's like a fan club. We need you to sign up as fan club members, support as club members. Please do that. We really, really appreciate it. And don't forget to support our sponsors. Go on the Betway app, do the SoccerBeat code, get yourselves an extra 25 Rand. We are very grateful for our sponsors. And most of all, we're grateful for you guys who watch the shows. And that's from Farouk and Tsepo and to all the other shows you watch. And I'm very grateful for this incredible team, the brains of that I have on this. I'm just the voice. They're the brains. Farouk, thanks very much. Speak to you. Well, we got a little bit of break before the next game. And you, Tsepo. Fantastic. Cheers, guys.